I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Mournful Congregation.
Whispering Spiritscapes.
Whispering Spiritscapes.
For the true cult.
For the true cult. What is the true cult, you say? The true cult is a collective of black metal fans, basically. And they come together on Patreon, and then they vote on what songs they want to do, and then they pull their points together, and they present it to us, and that's how we decide what songs we're going to listen to. Or, if you don't want to, and by the way, it's $1 at the gate starting in at Patreon. By the way, all patrons, we're going to be shooting an update video very, very, very soon because we're coming out to the end of March. And we've got a pretty cool event happening in April. And then going forward, pretty much every month, we're going to have a pretty cool event. So you're going to want to stay tuned. Okay, so $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. If you don't want to be part of an alliance and you don't want to vote and all that jazz, then you can simply do the Ronin option, or what we call a filthy capitalist option. $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You do that 3 times, you get knocked down at the $75 rate, and you get to singularly determine what song we review. Now, having said that, this is Mournful Congregation by, Mournful Congregation is the name of the band, and Whispering Spiritscapes is the name of the song. So this should be very, very interesting. I'm going to be pulling up my lyrics, and then after that, we should be good to go. Let's go. Sounds kind of doomy. This is what I expected from this band.
primal matter. Understand the blindness and the dejection of your first condition.
Whoa. Okay.
If you're still with us, thank you. That's number one. Number two, holy moly. That was, that's kind of like, I don't know if that's black metal. I don't know, is it doom? It sounded kind of doomy.
Yeah, I thought it sounded doomy as well.
Like doom.
I'll tell you what, they are very artistic.
Who?
Lyrically speaking, yeah. Like the way that they worded things.
Yeah, that last quote was from a guy named Alessandro Giuseppe Balsamo. He was an Italian adventurer, and self-styled magician. He became a glamorous figure associated with the royal courts of Europe. Yada, yada, yada. Here's a full quote. It says, "My child, you are receiving the primal matter. Understand the blindness and the dejection of your first condition. Then you did not know yourself. Everything was darkness within and without. Now that you have taken a few steps in the knowledge of yourself, learn that the great God created before man this primal matter, and that he then created man to possess it and to be immortal. Man abused it and lost it, but it still exists in the hands of the elect of God. And from a single grain of this precious matter becomes a projection into infinity." So that's the whole quote.
I like that picture.
From that guy. And the last quote that you hear in the song is the first sentence in that paragraph. These dudes are, the indwelling ascent, the rubaiyat, the incubus of karma, a scripture of exaltation and punishment, a picture of the devouring gloom, devouring the spheres of being. Holy moly.
Those are some long titles.
So this is like...
For me, it's like, go ahead. Finish what you were saying. Then
this guy started the Egyptian Freemasonry stuff. He's accredited with starting that, which is, a mixture of Gnosticism, among other things. It's just very, very interesting stuff.
He says, "Black horses ride waveless skies, traversed as shapeless voids, blackless night and voidless light." Blackless night?
Yeah.
A night that has no black?
That's pretty brilliant. Yeah, even the way they did the vocals.
And light that has no void, voidless light?
Yeah, I think
I really liked this part too. Wisdom's muse or man's conception. Literally, I have no idea what that means. So
the voice of dreaming dissolves into creation.
To me, I think that this song is about the crossover between life and death.
Well, the last line
leaving your body.
The last line is, "I long not for life, I long not for death."
Yeah, that's why I think it's kind of like that crossover spot. So, as he's leaving his body, he's not longing for death, but he's not longing for life. It's like this kind of...
It seemed to me that he was taking part in some sort of ritual. And that he's interfacing with these dark spirits, and they're not necessarily... Because if you look at the set, I don't know what verse this is. Maybe it's the third verse.
Really? Okay. What?
Or maybe the fourth verse. Beckoning. Well, if you look, the mask of despondency tethered to the rippling gaze, from behind which peers a black luminescence. So he's looking at something, or something is looking at him through some veil, some dark veil, and black luminescence, which is again, black light type of thing. That he's using those contrast. But then the next line is beckoning to the alluring and yet repelling.
No. Beckoning to the alluring yet repelling.
Right.
Oh my word!
That's
okay, yeah.
That's a very good description of what we would say a demon would be. Right?
I guess.
It would be alluring and repulsive simultaneously, which, if you look at the Passion of the Christ, the Satan character, they did a really good job with the Satan character, because it was kind of this androgynous...
I think it depends on who you are. Because I don't think demons are alluring at all. I think sin could be something that's both alluring and repelling, but...
Well... Yeah, so the demon or the devil in the Passion of the Christ, I think actually ended up being a woman, right? I'm not sure.
That's what I heard.
But it was just really brilliant the way that they did that person, because the person was, alluring and beautiful simultaneously. It became this kind of like, holy moly, that's the devil,
Yeah.
And I thought that was the way they did it was really cool. Where is that? Where'd it go? Right there. Right? So let me move my screen out of the way. I'm still working on figuring out this technology. But yeah, like that character in the Passion of the Christ they did a really, really good job. Like the concept of alluring and yet repulsive. Like,
yeah.
And then the way that she was talking and things like that, they just did a really, 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 really good job with it. And that's how I've always imagined, interfacing with the devil would be like. Like, he would be extremely alluring, obviously, and yet something about him would be like repulsive at the same time. It's pretty interesting stuff.
I mean, yeah, I guess I could throw in. I feel like that, like I said, sin is like that, and so I guess, yeah, I could see how you would say that about the devil.
Well, I've just been around people that mess around with darkness or whatever, and when they talk about it,
oh yeah,
there is that sort of seductive part of it, but there's also part of it where I've talked to people who've been afraid of it, but at the same time can't pull themselves away from it, because for whatever reason.
Sometimes it seems like a lot of people, it's like a curiosity.
Well, yeah, it starts off as this kind of strange curiosity, and then something strange happens, and they become obsessed. It starts becoming an obsession, and then it initially starts off as an idea that you have, and then something happens where the idea then takes possession of you, and then people start becoming obsessive over it and things like that, and it's very, very hard to get people out of that situation once they're once they're in it like that, because there's no way for them to sort of guide themselves out of that situation. Because when a person becomes really, really entranced with that stuff, it becomes, you almost get trapped in it. And you see people on really interesting spectrums. Like some people, even in metal, I think it was a lead singer of Death. I think there was some guy and he killed himself. He was in a band. He killed somebody. He did time in prison. He got back out. Restarted his band, and they became very successful. And then at the height of their success, he kills himself.
Yeah. Yeah, but wasn't that the guy where it was on purpose planned? Like he was waiting for him to get to the height of his success before he did that?
Yeah. He said he was doing it because this is part of his thing, and it wasn't because he was having a hard time. He basically said, "Look, I'm successful, blah blah blah. I'm doing this because this is the next stage in my evolution, or I'm going out on my own terms, or whatever it is." So that's a guy to me who's I call that a true believer. He was 100% in it, and there was no part of him. I mean, he was obviously completely sold out to that idea.
Right.
And then you have other people in the spectrum that are kind of in between. They're well, I don't want to die, but now they don't know how to navigate themselves out of that maze because, a lot of this stuff is happening in the mind, and it's having effects in the real world. And of course, it's that's a very difficult conversation to have with people. Look, I'm caught up in this spiritual stuff, and the stuff keeps happening. Everybody's going to look at you like you're crazy, because, a lot of that stuff is kind of weird and hocus pocus and not real, but there's some of it that's absolutely real, and people play around with that stuff, and then, they get trapped. We've known people who've been in that situation.
Yeah, I think one person's situation was awfully weird because they went into it almost to prove that God existed. So they thought, if I can prove to myself that the devil exists, because it seems to me he's much easier to find,
right,
then it will prove that the opposite is true as well.
Is that person?
Yeah, she got so deep into it that,
wow. That's
it
deep.
really, really took over her life.
Yeah. Yeah, like there was definitely
She got to a point where she was barely functional. It would just completely just took over her.
It was definitely a 9 day.
She had to get some help. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I know.
9 day
I
difference.
really think it's weird that her husband couldn't tell that was going on.
I mean, I think when you're in the middle of it, like it's, you know, there's a natural explanation for, you know, why people do what they do, you know. So, I mean, I don't know. I think about, you know, there's certain people that we know to where I'm like, we kind of default to a natural explanation for.
Actually, that's
why she's doing what she's doing. In reality, I mean, who knows?
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, there are a couple situations. Even yesterday, there's a couple things where I was just like, okay, this is a little bit more than just, you know, whatever. But,
oh, really?
yeah, like, I don't know, man. It's there are just some people that just bring hell with them, man.
Oh, God.
They're just some people. It's just straight hell to be around them. It's unbelievable. You almost want to, anyway. But yeah, that's that line is really crazy, and it's talking about like going into the infinite, and it's talking about not necessarily this one, but the full quotation of the guy that they were quoting.
Yeah.
It's talking about like achieving infinity and all that jazz, and a lot of secret society Gnostic stuff, which is always interesting. And it just makes me think to myself, like, the vast majority of people in our community identify themselves as atheists or agnostic or whatever. But there seems to be and this is way more explicit in the metal community than in the hip-hop community, where I come from. Like, there just seems to be this real deep yearning for spirituality but for whatever reason, it's always tailored toward, you know, dark spirituality, and many of the times these guys do not speak about it as if they're having a very good time. Like, it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like when these guys talk about the spirits or whatever, these spiritual planes that they end up on. It very rarely sounds like they're having a good time or they're enjoying themselves.
I think that, you know, the best experiences are always the most holistic ones. So when your body, your spirit, and your soul and everything kind of comes together for one, like with feeling the same thing, like that's like the height of your feelings or your experiences. So I think that if someone is, you know, day in, day out, they're struggling with depression and dark feelings, and then to find a spirit or a spiritual experience that matches that is a more holistic experience than not. Yeah. And so I think you can kind of get trapped only like meeting with bad spirits, I guess you could say, or evil spirits or dark spirits and depressing spirits, rather than meeting with the one that brings joy. So
I definitely,
and it probably feels like, how am I even going to relate to that guy? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here in my darkness and my depression, and like, especially because if you don't understand, is there two screens here on purpose? We need to probably understand what it is to be like dark or depressed or something, because it's probably all happy clappy like Christians pretend to be. You know, so I think that if you have that view, then it's like, well, yeah, I'm never going to ever be able to relate with that spirit. But when you actually start looking at the Bible and you see like the different experiences that they went through, or you watch the patterns of Jesus when he was walking on the earth, like when he would leave everybody and go off by himself into the wilderness, it's like, wait a minute, that's kind of dark. You know what I mean? Like, people would look at that and be like, well, I don't think that doesn't match what we would think about him. But I think that he knew when to pull away and when to come out. And
it said he'd do it early morning, so it was dark. Out in the woods. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of metal. It's kind of like, fits our community.
Yeah.
So he's not like just happy clappy running around in the brightness of the day with everybody and just, not understanding what people go through. I mean, like he came and he was human, and so he has experiences and understandings. Which this says that's why he's
black metal Jesus. Holy moly!
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it. It makes sense.
I actually never picked up on that and what was going on, sadly, but until I met you. And I realized, like, patterns that you go through and times where you have to, like, pull away and, like, get away. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. And also, remember that clay cartoon?
I'm like Jesus.
Well, let's not. You remember how that cartoon where they were like,
Teacher!
And he goes, like, there was this cartoon of Jesus, like, these little claymations. And the Jesus character was there, and people were like, teacher! And everybody was, like, just always after him. So he's like, teacher. And, like, the Jesus character was like, ugh. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe they put that in there. But then I was like, well, I guess...
He was tired. He was tired of the things. He said...
It's not sinful to be tired.
He said, how long do I have to put up with you people?
Right. He literally says that in the Bible. So then when I started seeing, like, how people will get with, like, clamoring all over you and stuff, and then how, like, sometimes you just have to, like...
Yeah, I remember you showed it to me, and it was a big joke. You were laughing. I was like, yeah, I know the feeling, Jesus. Thank you. Yeah, he's tired of those people. Tired of them.
Anyway, you take very long showers, and I'm always afraid something bad's gonna happen to you in the shower, because apparently, like, a lot of men have heart attacks in the shower. Inshallah. Why would you say something like that?
Unhallowed deeds
left. That was really dark.
Unhallowed deeds left unredeemed.
Yeah.
Holy moly. That's unhallowed means like unholy. Unholy deeds left unredeemed.
Yeah.
That's a good line.
It's also a problem.
Because everybody, I don't care where you're from, what you say, what you believe, what you say you believe. Everybody knows that we've done bad things that need atonement for.
Right.
Yeah, the longer I've lived and the more people I've talked to, the more I realize that is a fundamental truth. I don't care who, what, where, when. We all have these things that we've done that we know are necessitate redemption. But this guy has chosen to go, into some form of dark Gnosticism to solve that problem instead of going to Christ, which is a very strange concept to me. Like, if you assume that these categories of spirit and the spirit world and all that exist, why would you choose a dark spirituality? Like, for what?
I told you, because I think that people feel like it fits them.
Yeah
So it's like a relatable spirit.
Yeah, it's true. What did you give the song?
Okay, so I thought the intro was way too long. It just felt like something needed to happen. So I'm going with an 8.9.
This is a solid 6 for me. Although I will say, I'm not really a fan of sludge or doom or whatever type of metal this was per se. But I will say that there was a lot of like sonic or musical intricacies that if you don't play the guitar that you might miss. There were some harmonies in there. There was enough to where it broke from the sort of monotony of, but again, I mean, it's that kind of metal. It's part of that, that's what you're trying to accomplish sonically. It's sort of like a drudgery, sort of doomy type of thing. But there were times interspersed throughout the song where it got a little bit bright and major scaled and had some harmonies, which, I think if you're doing a 15-minute song, it can't all just be gloom.
Yeah.
It was mostly gloom, though. So it's a solid 6 for me.
It would have been a 7.9 for me. It got bumped up a whole point because I liked the artistic way that he worded things.
Yeah. The lyrics were definitely the strength of the song for sure.
There you go.
There you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. I don't know how to turn off the TV. How about this? This will turn it off. See you later.
Bye.